Today, for the first time, we are hearing from a close friend of Spencer and Monique Tepe, who says she knew from the beginning who would be arrested in the couple's deaths.
Spencer and Monique Tepe were found shot to death in their Weinland Park home on December 30th. Their two children were inside at the time, but were not physically harmed. Police say there were no signs of forced entry.
Monique's ex-husband, Michael McKee, is accused of killing the couple. In a story you'll see only on 10 TV, friends tell Lacey Crisp why they suspected McKee from the start. Lacey.
Well, Gina Spinelli tells me this house is the place where memories were made, and now it's a nightmare.
If you knew Monique, you knew this was what happened to her.
Gina Spinelli has been friends with Spencer and Monique Tepe for years and says Mo's smile would light up a room. She explained Mo felt grateful for having Spencer after such a hard first marriage to Michael McKee.
She never called it, I didn't even know his name. She never said Michael. She said my ex. She said he was bad. She said abusive. I don't think I ever got the impression that she was afraid of him. I got the impression that she hated him and that she knew things were bad there, and I don't think it ever fully left her mind. I don't think anyone thought that this was going to happen. I also don't think that she ever thought he would leave her alone for the rest of her life.
Columbus police said there weren't any reports filed regarding abuse or a request for a restraining order against McKee. When Spinelli got the call with the devastating news that two of her dear friends had been killed inside their home, she only thought of one person, the person police arrested Saturday and charged Sunday with premeditated murder.
Do you have any idea why now, after all of these years, that he's accused of doing this heinous act?
I think it's just because everything you see the wedding video, everything that people see is who they really were. And they were so perfect and they were so wonderful. And I think he couldn't live with it. I think he could not fathom her happiness. And she was so happy.
Spinelli tells me she was at their celebration of life services. She says it was heartwarming to hear so many wonderful stories about her dear friends.
Lacey, you have been on this story since day one, and we've heard so much about the couple's children, just 1 and 4 years old. They were in the house when their parents were killed. They weren't hurt, thankfully, but I think a lot of people are wondering tonight, how are those kids doing?
Yeah, so they're now living with family members, but Spinelli tells me they now have an army of aunts and uncles who will forever look after.
A vascular surgeon is trained to see what others cannot, to fix the invisible ruptures that end human lives. But on January 14, 2026, Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant revealed that Dr. Michael McKee may have used that same surgical foresight to plan an execution. 300 miles, no forced entry, and a weapon that was never supposed to be found. Today, the living death of the Tepe family takes a clinical turn, as forensic ballistics finally close the loop on a surgeon who thought he was smarter than the system. January 16, 2026. A gray morning in a Winnebago County courtroom. The air is heavy. It smells of floor wax and stale anxiety. Dr. Michael McKee stands before the bench. No white coat, no stethoscope, just yellow jail scrubs and the cold bite of steel at his wrists. The judge's gavel falls with a finality that echoes like a gunshot. But for McKee, this isn't an end. It is the beginning of a cycle that never breaks. Life without the possibility of parole. Let that sink in. Most people think the death penalty is the ultimate price. They are wrong. Death would have been easier. A quick exit. A final curtain. But this is a permanent residence in a concrete box. This is a clock that never stops ticking but never reaches the hour. His reality is more brutal than people realize. He is a man who saved lives by the second, now forced to lose his own by the millimeter. I want to welcome you back to the channel. We investigate the cases the world tried to forget, looking for the truth in the spaces between the headlines. If you find value in these deep dives, please subscribe and join our community of investigators. And as we begin, tell us where you are watching from today, whether it's the United States, Canada, Australia, or beyond. Leave a comment below. We read every single one. The crime was a clinical erasure. December 30, 2025, 2:00 a.m. While the rest of the world slept off the holidays, a surgeon was operating in the dark. 450 miles of highway, a cold calculation. No forced entry, he knew the locks or he knew the vulnerabilities. Inside the house on North 4th Street, the chaos was silent but absolute. Chills ran down the spines of the first responders who found them. Spencer and Monique Tepe. Multiple gunshot wounds, emptying magazines into the very people who should have been his family. A dental surgeon and a mother gone in seconds. But here is the part most people don't understand. The missed red flags weren't just whispers, they were sirens, malpractice lawsuits, a disappearance from his medical practice months prior, a history of domestic terror that Monique's family says lasted 10 years. Was he born with this void? Or did the power of the operating room convince him he could play God outside of it? He wasn't a victim of his environment. He was a master of it until he decided to destroy it. If you've stayed with me this far, you aren't just a casual viewer. You're an investigator. We are building a community of people who refuse to let these stories fade into the concrete. Help us grow this circle of voices so we can bring more light to these forgotten halls. Now, let's look at the evidence they didn't want you to see. Think about the milestone erasure. Michael McKee is currently 39 years old. In his mind, he is still the elite vascular surgeon, but the calendar is a thief. In 20 years, he will be 59. He will never attend a board meeting. He will never perform another life-saving bypass. He will never walk through a park or choose his own meal. The human experiences we take for granted, weddings, the birth of nieces or nephews, the simple freedom of a long walk, are erased. His physical decay will happen in the dark. The sharp eyes that navigated arteries will dim under flickering fluorescent lights. The hands that saved lives will grow stiff and useless against a metal bunk. While the world moves forward into the 2030s and 2040s, he will remain frozen in a 6x9 cell, a living museum of a life wasted. The inside the walls reality is a sensory assault. He is currently held under high-security observation. In a facility like this, the dehumanizing routine is the only clock. 5:00 a.m. The lights slam on. No choice. No privacy. The breakfast is a lukewarm slurry pushed through a metal slot. A doctor who once dined in Lincoln Park now eats off a plastic tray with a spork. The concrete box is his entire universe. The walls are close enough to touch without moving. And the prison hierarchy. It is the ultimate equalizer. In general population, McKee is not a prestigious doctor. He is a man who allegedly targeted a mother while her children were in the next room. In the unwritten code of the yard, that is a death sentence in itself. He is a target. He is a trophy. He is a man who knows too much about the human body in a place where people only want to break it.
Of course, we know that Michael McKee is now charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated burglary. Now, in this indictment, prosecutors say that he used an automatic gun with a silencer. The court documents don't offer many more details, but here's what we know as of right now. Spencer and Monique Tepe were found dead inside of their Weinland Park home on December 30th. Their 2 children were also inside of that home. Thankfully, they were not hurt. This case gained nationwide attention for nearly 2 weeks until police arrested Michael McKee. Now, Monique, of course, that was her ex-husband. He was arrested on January 10th in Rockford, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Columbus police say neighborhood surveillance video helped to identify that suspect. Detectives tracked a car that arrived before the killings and left after. Police say they recovered multiple guns from McKee's home, including the one they believe was used in those murders. If convicted, McKee faces life in prison. Now, he says he plans to plead not guilty in this case. Tonight, he remains locked up in Illinois. He could be brought back here to Franklin County sometime next week. Reporting live in studio tonight, Rodney Dunnigan, ABC 6 News.
As the case moves forward, we're also learning that Columbus police will no longer be in charge of bringing McKee here to Ohio. Now that he has been indicted by the grand jury, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office will be responsible for bringing him here. Former Sheriff Zach Scott extradited dozens of people during his long career, and he tells us a lot of planning goes into bringing back such a high-profile suspect.
When we would drive at times, we would just have a Chevy Caprice. The suspect would always be handcuffed. but we would establish a rapport with them. We'd spend time talking with them.
The sheriff's office warrants an extradition unit now making plans to extradite McKee to Ohio. However, they are not giving an exact timeline on when he will be returned to Columbus to face that long list of charges.
Stay with me, because the evidence revealed on January 14, 2026 is what finally locked the door. The NIBIN ballistic match, a 9mm handgun found in his Rockford residence. It wasn't just a gun, it was a signature, a forensic echo of the night in Weinland Park. He thought he was smarter than the science. He was wrong. The surgeon's weapon became the surgeon's undoing. But here is the part most people don't understand. The true living death for Michael McKee isn't just the loss of his freedom, it is the total erasure of his identity. He spent decades refining his mind and his hands to be a savior. Now, that same mind is trapped with the memory of what he did. There are no surgeries to distract him. There is no prestige to hide behind. Just the silence of a high observation cell and the knowledge that he is the reason 2 children are growing up in a world that feels forever empty.
And tonight, friends and colleagues in Ashland are remembering Dr. Spencer Tepe and his wife, Monique.
Our Lindsay Buckingham spoke with 2 women who worked alongside him, and they want us to know who Spencer and Monique truly were.
For 8 years at Stone Creek Dental Care in Ashland, Julie Radaba and Michelle Clark were greeted by Dr. Spencer Tepe.
Every time he walked in the office, he was always in a good mood and said good morning to everybody. He just had a happy presence about him all the time.
That presence and his signature laugh filled every room.
It was just loud, but it was awesome.
His impact reaching far beyond the office.
He just loved his patients. He really cared about his dentistry.
After working together nearly a decade,
you become more than just coworkers.
Closeness showing up in everyday moments, even the silly ones.
You couldn't embarrass him. I mean, there was a time when she was working with him over a patient, and accidentally the water syringe squirted him in the forehead.
He had water dripping. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He just started laughing.
He just
He's
laughed.
like, oh my God.
Spencer and his beloved wife, Monique, were building a beautiful life. Julie and Michelle felt lucky to be a part of it.
And Dr. Tepe and Monique, they loved soccer. Both of them played. We actually went to a soccer game, watched the crew one time with Mo and Dr. Tepe, and just an awesome guy.
Spencer left the office last summer, yet their bond never did.
It's just hard not being able to just text him. I mean, he texts us on our birthdays, on our birthday, happy birthday, on the holidays. You know, we kept in contact.
Until the very end.
Probably just like a couple days before even of the incident, he texted us a picture of his family. My comment back to him was just like, you guys look so happy.
Yeah.
Which makes this so hard.
Yesterday, you know, the services was amazing. It was beautiful. And that helped.
Some of his friends spoke. Some of Monique's friends spoke. Everybody's jam-packed into this room, and we were literally, elbow to elbow.
The loss is still sinking in, but they want the world to remember Spencer for who he truly was.
He had a unique way, it seemed, of making whoever he was with, feel very special. Really just was a genuinely nice person who just loved life.
Both Julie and Michelle told me Dr. Tepe truly loved his job and his patients. They say he listened, learned about their lives, and genuinely cared. Christy?
The whole thing is just so sad.
The inside the walls reality is a slow, grinding machinery of consequence. In the medical world, McKee was used to being the smartest person in the room. In the Ohio penal system, intelligence is a liability. It makes you a target for those who want to prove that even a doctor can bleed. The metal slot in his door doesn't just deliver food. It delivers a reminder that he is no longer a man. He is a number. In the hierarchy of the yard, McKee faces a unique kind of isolation. He is a high-profile inmate, which often means protective custody, a fancy term for a smaller box inside a larger cage. He won't have the camaraderie of the general population. He will have the walls. He will have the echoes of the heavy steel doors. He will have the 23-hour-a-day realization that the surgical precision he prided himself on was actually a mask for a deep-seated clinical coldness. Let that sink in. He traded a life of saving strangers for a life of starring at the same four corners. By the time he reaches 60, he will be a ghost in a yellow uniform, a man who knows the anatomy of a bypass but has forgotten the warmth of the sun on his face.
Tonight, Spencer and Monique Tepe's brother-in-law tells NBC News when the family first learned the couple had been murdered, only one possible suspect came to mind: Monique's ex-husband, Michael McKee.
She was terrified because he had threatened her life on multiple occasions when they were married.
Rob Misla sharing with NBC News what he says Monique Tepe told him about her brief and troubled marriage to McKee. His account backed up by a second family member.
So she wasn't shy about talking to people about traumatic experiences that she had with her ex and just how emotionally abusive he was to her. It affected her to this day.
The vascular surgeon is now charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder. Officials allege he shot and killed the Tepes in their Columbus, Ohio home. Misla says Monique and McKee abruptly divorced in 2017 after less than 2 years of marriage because Monique was so worried. Court documents cite incompatibility. Misla says he's unaware of whether he had made any recent threats.
Do you know if the abuse was ever physical?
I don't.
A public defender representing McKee says he intends to plead not guilty.
If any of us had known that these threats were actually grounded in possibility, we all would have acted differently.
But as we look at this 2026 update, we must confront the no sympathy disclaimer. Our focus and the priority of justice remains on Spencer and Monique Tepe. It remains on the 2 children who were left to wander a house of horror because a man who was sworn to do no harm decided to do the ultimate harm. We are not here to pity Michael McKee. We are here to analyze the weight of the living death he built for himself. The missed red flags, the domestic history, the malpractice suits, the erratic behavior, all point to a man who believed the rules of humanity didn't apply to him. He was wrong. Which brings us to the final philosophical dilemma. Is life without parole a civilized punishment, or is it a form of torture more cruel than the needle? Some say that for a man of McKee's intellect, being forced to live and watch his own decay is the only true justice. Others argue that it is a living death that serves no purpose but revenge. As we look at the evidence that ended Michael McKee, the ballistics, the car, the 300-mile trail, we are left with a chilling question. In a case this clinical, this cold, and this calculated, which one is more fitting? I want to hear from you. In the comments below, let's have a real debate. Is the living death of life without parole enough for a man who used his medical brilliance to plan an execution? Or is the system failing by keeping him alive? The case of Michael McKee is just one file in a very dark cabinet. In our next video, I'm opening the vault on a story even more chilling than this one. A 2026 update on a cold case that was solved by a single digital footprint left in the snow. If you aren't subscribed, you're going to miss the update that changes the way you look at the justice system forever. Don't get left outside the walls. Join us, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.